welcome to Rouse IAS. This is the Daily Claims Practice Initiative, and here we discuss important MCQs from The Hindu and Indian Express. The topics for today's discussion are mentioned over your screen. So let's begin our session. The first MCQ for today is based on this particular article, which appeared on the page number 8 of The Hindu. The article talks about the conflict between Chief Minister and Lieutenant Governor in Delhi. And this conflict is impacting the governance of the National Capital Territory. For our prelims point of view, we should have a clear idea about the powers of governor and the powers of lieutenant governor in case of union territories. UPSC in the previous year 2013 had asked this question. Now let us solve our first practice question for today. The question states that consider the following statements with reference to the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi. Statement 1. The Lieutenant Governor has the powers to appoint the Chief Minister of Delhi. Now, this statement is incorrect as the powers to appoint the Chief Minister of Delhi is with the President of India and not with the Lieutenant Governor. The second statement is Lieutenant Governor can exercise executive control over the matters of the state list and concurrent list in Delhi. Now, this statement is also incorrect as the Legislative Assembly of Delhi can make laws on all the matters of state list and concurrent list except three subjects. These are police, public order and land. The Lieutenant Governor has executive control only on these three subjects. The third statement is Lieutenant Governor is empowered to promulgate ordinances during recess of the Legislative Assembly. Now this is a correct statement. So let us discuss in brief some important facts regarding Delhi. The Union Territory of Delhi was redesignated as National Capital Territory of Delhi by the 69th Constitutional Amendment Act in 1991, and by this act the administrator of Delhi was designated as Lieutenant Governor. Now, the power to appoint the Chief Minister of Delhi is with President of India, and other ministers are appointed by President on the advice of Chief Minister. The Council of Ministers, which is headed by Chief Minister, aids and advises Lieutenant Governor to exercise his functions. However, the Lieutenant Governor has also some discretionary powers. The Lieutenant Governor has executive control over three subjects. Those are police, public order and land. And except these three subjects, the Legislative Assembly of Delhi can make laws on the matters of state list and concurrent list. The Lieutenant Governor can promulgate ordinances during the recess of Legislative Assembly. He can also withdraw an ordinance, but he cannot promulgate an ordinance when the assembly is dissolved or suspended. And to promulgate or withdraw an ordinance, Lieutenant Governor requires the prior permission of the President of India. In case of difference of opinion between Lieutenant Governor and his ministers, the Lieutenant Governor can refer the matter to the President, and in the case of failure of constitutional machinery, President rule can be imposed in Union Territory on the report of Lieutenant Governor. Hence, the answer to our practice question is option C, that is 3 only, and the answer to our previous year question is option C. So our next MCQ is based on this particular article which appeared on the page number 9 of The Hindu. As the Union Budget is to be presented in February 2023 and it would be the last full year budget of the Modi government before the Lok Sabha elections in 2024. Hence the question is, will the budget which will be presented this year would be populist or fiscally responsible? As we all know that before the election years, the budget is populist. But at the present, India needs a fiscally responsible budget in order to have financial consolidation and to reduce fiscal deficit of the economy. So based on the similar theme, we found a question in 2017. Now let us solve our practice question, which states that with reference to the fiscal deficit, consider the following statements. Statement 1. Fiscal deficit indicates the total borrowing needs of the government. Now this statement is correct. So let us understand what is fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit is the difference between total revenue and total expenditure of the government, and it is the indication of total borrowings needed by the government. The second statement is high fiscal deficit can result into crowding out in the economy. Now this is the correct statement. So let us understand the meaning of this statement. Now high fiscal deficit indicates that the expenditure of government is more than the income of the government or revenue of the government. So in order to meet its expenditure, government will rely on borrowing. So if the government spends more by borrowing, it will increase the interest rate in the loanable fund market. And if the interest rate increases, the private business houses may not be able to find loans at a cheaper rate, and thus they will not scale up their investment or businesses. And this scenario is known as crowding out in an economy. Now, as the statement says, high fiscal deficit can result into crowding out in the economy. This is a correct statement. The third statement is NK Singh Committee on Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management has recommended to reduce fiscal deficit to 2% of GDP by 2025-2026. Now, this is an incorrect statement. The NK Singh Committee has suggested to bring down fiscal deficit to 4% of GDP by 2025-2026. Hence, the correct answer to this question is option B, that is 1 and 2 only, and the correct answer to our UPSC previous year question is option D. So our next MCQ is based on this particular article which appeared on the page number 14 of The Hindu. So recently, Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has released a rural health statistics report, and as per this report, India is facing an acute shortage of specialist doctors, as nearly 80% of specialists are required in community health centers. So this chart shows the acute shortage of specialists at the community health centers. UPSC in the previous year 2022 had asked a question on Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. So let us solve our practice question which says that consider the following statements. Statement 1. Community health centers are part of primary healthcare system in India. So this statement is incorrect as community health centers are part of secondary healthcare system in India. They are designed to provide referral as well as specialist healthcare to the rural population. The second statement is, it is mandatory for every community health center to have functional Rogi Kalyan Samiti. This statement is correct as it is mandatory for every community health center to have a functional Rogi Kalyan Samiti or patient welfare committee for patient welfare and fixing accountability of community health centers. Hence, the answer to our practice question is option B, that is 2 only, and the answer to our previous year question is option B. So, our next practice question is based on this particular article which appeared on the page number 19 of Indian Express. So, recently, the Vice President of India has criticized Supreme Court for using the basic structure doctrine to strike down the constitutional amendment by Parliament, such as National Judicial Appointment Commissions Act. So this very debate brings into light the debate on separation of powers between executive and judiciary. And so in this context, the basic structure doctrine is important for prelims point of view. UPSC in the previous year 2020 had asked a question on similar line. So let us solve our practice question which states that with reference to the doctrine of basic structure, consider the following statements. The first statement is, Constitution of India has defined the basic structure doctrine, which effectively ensures judicial primacy through judicial review, and has also limited amending powers of the Parliament. So this statement is incorrect as the basic structure doctrine has not been defined in the Constitution of India. As you must be aware that the basic structure doctrine was expounded in the landmark Keshwanand Bharati judgment case of 1973, which states that the basic structure of constitution cannot be altered or amended by the parliament or executive, and thus it has limited the amending powers of parliament. The second statement is, Keshwanand Bharati judgment has laid down an inclusive list of basic structure, and after this judgment, no new terms have been added in the list of basic structure. Now this statement is also incorrect. The basic structure is not an exclusive list, and new terms can be added by judiciary in future in the list. So given below are the elements of basic structure, and judicial review and secularism were added after the Keshwanand Bharati case. Hence, the answer to our practice question is option D, that is neither 1 nor 2, and the answer to our previous year question is option D. So the next MCQ for today is based on this particular article which appeared on the page number 3 of Indian Express. So the Army Chief of India, while highlighting the preparations of Indian Army to counter any Chinese aggression along the line of actual control, has mentioned the names of various tunnels under the border infrastructure. UPSC in the previous year 2014 had asked a question on connectivity of national highways and cities. So on the similar lines, we have framed this question which asks about the connectivity of these border infrastructure projects, and you have to answer they provide connectivity between which of the following reasons. First statement is Shinkula Tunnel provides connectivity between Jammu and Ladakh. This statement is incorrect. Shinkula Tunnel is an under construction tunnel which is the world's highest tunnel at an altitude of more than 16,000 feet, and it connects Himachal Pradesh to Ladakh. The second statement is Jojila Tunnel connects Kashmir and Leh. This is a correct statement. Jojila Tunnel is also under construction, and after construction, it would be the Asia's longest bi-directional road tunnel. It connects Srinagar and Leh and has the length of 14.15 kilometers. The third statement is Sela Tunnel connects Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim. This is an incorrect statement, as Sela Tunnel connects Tawang region in Arunachal Pradesh to Guwahati in Assam. The fourth statement is Zedmore Tunnel connects Kashmir and Leh. This is a correct statement. Zedmore Tunnel is an under construction tunnel in Jammu and Kashmir, which is to the west of Jojila Tunnel, and it connects Kashmir and Leh. Hence, the answer to our practice question is option D, that is 2 and 4 only, and the answer to our previous year question is option D. So the final MCQ for today is based on this particular article which appeared on the page number 9 of Indian Express. This article talks about the difference of opinion among various states of India over the identification of religious minorities. As we all know that except Hinduism, the followers of all other religions are religious minorities in India. So the debate is that whether migrant Hindus can be given the religious minority status in some states. So as per the current law, the power to identify religious minorities is with the central government, and some states are in favor with this law, whereas some states have opined that the power of identification of religious minorities should lie with those particular states. So this article is important under various fundamental rights. UPSC in the previous year 2020 had asked a question on fundamental right. So let us solve our practice question, which states that consider the following statements. Statement 1. The term minority has been defined under Article 29 in the Constitution of India. So this statement is incorrect, as the term minority has nowhere defined in the Constitution of India. The second statement is, according to Article 30, all minorities or sections of citizens have the right to establish or administer educational institutions of their choice. Now, this is also an incorrect statement, as the protection under Article 30 is only confined to minorities, both religious or linguistic minorities, but it does not extend to all sections of citizens. The third statement is, currently only those communities identified under the National Commission for Minorities Act 1992 are regarded as linguistic and religious minority. Now this is a correct statement, as currently the National Commission for Minorities Act 1992 gives the minority status to the communities. So as the question had asked, which of the following statements are incorrect? So our answer would be option B, 1 and 2 only. And the answer to our previous year question is option D. So this brings an end to today's session. Stay connected for more updates.